community. Channel 13's always proud to help Alaska grow and help her remain through the growing pains. The same Alaska that we used to know.
Strings attached, and I'm the one you're looking for. If you want giving and sharing, then I'm the one you're looking for. If I can be the only one that has a key to your front door, then maybe I'm the one you're looking for. If you don't wanna be a friend, then you're not the one I'm looking for. If you don't wanna tie the knot, then you're not the one I'm looking for. If I can't be the only one that has a key to your front door, for sure, then you're not the one I'm looking for. I want a man that wants a woman who's much more than just a word. He won't be second to a job, a girlfriend, or a way of life. I want the kind of love that binds two people so they can be free. Be the best kind of people that they can be. So if you don't wanna say where you're going, I'm not
Turn up your radio just a little bit louder, 'cause I want you to listen well as I tell you this story about Black Fog Hell. Truck wheels rolling through the night, nothing but a blanket of ice and fog inside. If there's a rig without a radio coming down that hill, we'll meet head on in the middle of Black Fog Hell. Well, I never had a CB in my rig, till a friend here a while back said you'll wish you had one if you ever run into that fog that's thick and black. So I took his advice and it saved my life, and that's a story I'm here to tell. She was slick as glass over Thompson's Pass, 40 miles of Black Fog Hell. Well, I was glad to be rolling south and to leave that slope behind, but it's a mighty rough road when you pull a heavy load up that old Alaska pipeline. I stopped at the bottom of Thompson's Pass and ironed up all the way around, but I didn't notice till I started back up the grade that black ice covered the ground. Then the fog rolled in and covered that ice and made it look a sickly black. Oh, I knew what I was in for, but there wasn't any turning back. Now, black ice by itself is bad enough, but at least you can see uphill. You spread a layer of fog on top of that ice, and you've got Black Fog Hell. Truck wheels rolling through the night, nothing but a blanket of ice and fog inside. If there's a rig without a radio coming down that hill, we'll meet head on in the middle of Black Fog Hell. Though both of my stacks were blowing loud, the night was strangely still. Then came a call, ringing wall to wall. Look out, all trucks downhill. Get off to the side, 'cause I'm taking up the whole darn road from rail to rail. I'm sideways and I'm sliding into that Black Fog Hell. Well, I called back for his 20. He said he's about 5 miles away. And I knew there was a turnout just about 2 miles upgrade. Now the question was, could I get there before I met him coming down? I said a silent trucker's prayer, then I put the hammer down. Truck wheels rolling through the night, nothing but a blanket of ice and fog inside. My radio let me know there's trouble on up that hill. Now I've got to get off of this road and get out of this Black Fog Hell. I put the pedal to the floor and the engine roared and the chains were chewing on the ice. I hate to drive fast on a crooked mountain road, but it just might save my life. Well, the fog was thinning out by now. Then a few curves up the road, I saw Big Jimmy truck come sliding down the ice, and she was trying to stay ahead of her load. Well, I just got my rig pulled off to the side, and he went screaming by. His face was pale and his teeth were clenched, and there was terror in his eyes. And he almost had it straightened out till he made that fatal mistake. Must have been his first time driving on ice, 'cause he slammed down on his brakes. And he was sliding just like a big sled as he went out of my view. There was a hairpin turn just down the road, but there wasn't a thing I could do. The deep snow 1,000 feet below buried him when he fell. Another helpless victim of that Black Fog Hell. Truck wheels rolling through the night, nothing but a blanket of ice and fog inside. Because my radio let me know there was trouble on up that hill, I'm one of the few that ever lived through Black Fog Hell. Truck wheels rolling through the night. Black Fog Hell. Black Fog Hell. Black Fog Hell. Rain was falling softly and your hair was soaking wet. Tear and raindrops in your eyes I never will forget. Moist lips dripping honeydew in the morning mist. I can taste the sweet last time that we loved and kissed. Oh, to bring it all back now, that morning in the rain. Years it in my memory, but haven't dulled the pain. We're makers of melodies and learners of lines and writers of rhythms on the pages of time. Masters of music, rhymers of rhymes, painters of pictures on the canvas of your mind. We'll paint a picture you can't see, oh, but you never will forget. We'll leave our brush strokes on your mind's eye, the paint still dripping wet. So lay back and let us into your head. Close your eyes and feel the vibrations. We'll mix the colors on the canvas of your mind and leave the rest up to your imagination. We're makers of melodies and learners of lines and writers of rhythms on the pages of time. Masters of music, rhymers of rhymes, painters of pictures on the canvas of your mind. We'll help you go where you've never gone, oh, and you never dreamed you would. We'll help you feel what you've never felt, and it's gonna feel so good. So lay back and let us into your head. Close your eyes and feel the vibrations. We'll mix the colors on the canvas of your mind and leave the rest.
KTOO-TV, Juneau, Alaska, now begins another broadcast day. A member station of Public Broadcasting Service, KTOO-TV is a non-commercial, community-supported public television station licensed to Capital Community Broadcasting, Incorporated. With broadcast and production facilities located at 240 Main Street and transmission facilities high atop the Juneau Federal Building, KTOO-TV is committed to serving the greater Juneau community with a full schedule of quality programming, something for everyone. This is Charlie Northrup, General Manager, and the entire staff and our membership now invite you to enjoy today's programming on your public television station, KTOO-TV. I'm not through yet.
You're through?
Hello, I'm Charles Northrup, General Manager for Capital Community Broadcasting here in Juneau. We're in the street at 240 Main Street in front of our headquarters building for KTOO FM and Now Television. We want to welcome you to the very first scheduled program on KTOO-TV. Let's not stay out in the street, though. Please come in and join us. And there already are quite a few people in here to join us, and we're glad to have you with us. I'd like to greet, first of all, our chairman of the board, Richard Dowling, Luann Packer, a longtime volunteer, Elaine Mitchell, a member of our board.
Charlie, and all the board and all the volunteers. Love
Thank
it.
you. Dan McClinton, another longtime volunteer. How are you, Dan?
Right, fine.
Jan Hollander, member of our board. Bill Ratcliffe, another member of our board. I'm passing Skip Gray, who's one of our camera persons. Representative Mike Miller. Hi, Mike. Mayor Overstreet, pleasure to have you with us. Looks like some punch is spilled on my clipboard. We're delighted to have you with us on this, the very first scheduled program for KTOO television. It's been a long time in coming, not as long as we had expected. We had some last-minute help from the FCC to make sure that we made it on the air by the 1st of October, and for that we're very grateful. Before we go on to introduce some of the other people who are here to help us celebrate today, we thought the first thing we'd like to do is to give you some idea of how this signal is reaching you this very moment in your homes, wherever you happen to be in Juneau. And the signal starts out either on the audio side from this microphone that I'm holding in my hand, or, and in addition to it, from that camera that I'm looking at right now. It's taking pictures of me and showing you what's going on in this studio. We have at least another camera going on at the same time that can take pictures of that camera and show you what a small part of what's happening is happening. From there, the signal goes to our control room, where at the heart of the process is some of our editing equipment that you're watching right now. And then you're watching a video switcher, which is the piece of equipment that selects the camera shots that you see in your home. Here's the audio console, which mixes the various audio sources that come to you through your television set. From there, the signal moves to our engineering control room, where the camera control units are controlled by our engineering staff. Lots of scopes and meters and things of that sort so that the engineers can tell exactly what's happening. You're watching the heart of our network operation for the time being. For the first 2 months, we'll be on a videotape delay, and that's the first quadruplex videotape recorder in southeast Alaska. From 240 Main Street, the signal goes by microwave from the top of 240 Main Street to a reflector on top of the court building, and from that reflector to a receive microwave dish at the top of the Federal Building in downtown Juneau. From there, the signal goes to our transmitter room in the penthouse of the Federal Building. You're watching here the meters of the receive microwave gear, and from that microwave gear, the signal then goes to the television transmitter, and from the transmitter is fed back via transmission line to the top of the Federal Building, up that 40-foot tower to 2 batwing antenna elements on top of the tower, and from those antenna elements, the signal then goes through the air to your home, be it in West Juneau, or Douglas, or downtown Juneau, or the Valley. We are also being carried on cable channel 3. At least we were assured that that's the cable channel that we would be on, and we hope that if you're hooked up to the cable, you're able to watch us on cable channel 3 as well. We have plans for installing a translator to service the Mendenhall Valley with a better over-the-air signal so that we'll not be dependent on the cable to get our signal to your homes if you happen to live way back by the glacier and around a couple of the mountains that our main transmitter cannot reach. With me in the studio are 3 members of the City and Borough Assembly, Mayor Overstreet and 2 Assembly persons, Jeff Morrison and Roger Allington. We're happy to have you gentlemen with us. And Mayor Overstreet, first I'd like to express my appreciation to you and to the other 2 gentlemen for the assistance you tried to give us in helping us to expand our building. And even though we weren't quite successful, I know your hearts were in the right place.
Yes, and we took the action that you wanted taken, primarily because we recognize, Chuck, the invaluable contribution that television is making to this community in terms of our struggle to be more accessible to the people of the state. We were happy to do what we could, and sorry that it wasn't the solution that resolved the problem for you.
Well, it's gratifying to know that your hearts were in the right place. Roger Allington, I know, has some interest as well in the artistic community. I saw him last night at the string quartet concert, and our cameras were there as well, and we're looking forward to doing a lot more cultural programming along those lines as well. Roger, do you have anything specifically that you think you'd like to see us do?
Well, I just have a question I think everybody that was there last night would like to know, Charlie, and that is, when are you going to show the string quartet to the citizens of Juneau that weren't among the 250 that were there?
I can't give you a definite answer on that. We do have a local program called KTOO Presents that is going to feature performing art groups. And as we go out in the community and tape the various performances, then we'll be back editing those performances into packageable units. And you'll be seeing them in the regular slot for KTOO Presents.
I think it's excellent.
And Jeff Morrison?
Let me get wired up here, I guess.
We are definitely informal tonight. You can just hold it.
I'll just hold it.
Just hold it. That's
Just
fine.
talk right into the microphone, please.
It was a Nixon comment, wasn't it?
We're delighted to have you with us tonight. Is there anything in particular that you would like to see KTOO-TV be doing?
Well, I really feel uncomfortable. As I mentioned to you earlier on the street, in fact, Charlie, I'm extremely interested in children's programming, and it doesn't necessarily have to be local. And then to get back a little to what Roger had alluded to and what you pointed out, I'd really be interested in seeing the local little theater plays put on tape and made available to a lot of the people who don't attend the little theater productions.
Okay, that we do plan to do that, and we also have in mind that many of the things that we may tape, we may not put on the air in their entirety, but we will have them on tape, and it'd be quite easy for them to be made available, say, to outlying communities on tape that aren't within the range of our signal
I think that's
as well.
an excellent idea.
Well, we thank all three of you gentlemen for joining us. We'll please enjoy yourselves, partake of some of the refreshments as we go along here. I've just been handed an envelope, which I believe contains a telegram, or a message at least, addressed to Capital Community Broadcasting at 240 Main Street. Congratulations to you, your staff, and the CCBI Board of Directors on the occasion of the sign-on for KTOO-TV in Juneau. The efforts of all of you, individually and collectively, are most appreciated by all of us in public service. My best wishes to you all, as CCBI, through KTOO-TV, begins this new phase of communication service to Juneau. Warm regards, sincerely, Mike Gravel. Our thanks for that message from our representative. We'd like now to give you a short piece of videotape that was put together by one of our founding members of our board of directors, Dennis Harris. He's been acting as a volunteer and was up on top of the federal building the day the TV antenna was hoisted into place, and he took some time to put together a piece on that construction and the general philosophy of KTOO here in Juneau.
In the winter of 1974, a little over 4.5 years ago, a group of volunteers waded through the snow and climbed the smokestack here at the Juneau Douglas High School to erect an antenna that for all practical purposes is invisible to the hundreds of people that pass it on their way into town every day. For the last several years, KTOO-FM has been broadcasting from this location with a power of 10 watts. That power will soon increase to 1,000 watts, and the new antenna will no longer be almost invisible. Last month, workers from Tower Structures Incorporated and the KTOO engineering staff built and installed new antennas for KTOO-FM and KTOO-TV on a 40-foot tower atop the Federal Building in downtown Juneau. Since the television transmitting antenna was too heavy for the helicopter to lift in one piece, the antenna was lifted to the roof in sections, where it was assembled and hoisted atop the tower. KTOO-FM and now KTOO-TV are more visible these days than they were when we began broadcasting from a 10 by 20 foot room in the high school auditorium. Our move to 240 Main Street 2 years ago meant that KTOO-FM had more room in which to help volunteers produce more programs for our listeners. It also meant that there was room for a television production studio to produce coverage of the Alaska legislature, as well as educational and public service programming for nonprofit agencies. And for the last 2 years, the planning has been underway for KTOO-TV, public television for Juneau. Yet, in spite of all the changes that KTOO has gone through in the past 4 years, the basic idea with which we started is still here. To bring Juneau programming that would not otherwise exist, and to encourage members of the community to produce programming for their friends and neighbors. We're looking forward to helping Juneau take a look at itself in a way that it never has before. Here on KTOO-TV, Channel 3, Juneau.
Okay, thanks, Dennis, for that very fine piece. With me now in the studio are our two state representatives, Mike Miller and Jim Duncan. And I was just thinking as we were getting ready for sign-on today, harking back almost 2 years ago to the first Capital 77 program. And believe it or not, I believe it was more hectic that day getting ready for the first Capital 77 program. Maybe the first thing I could ask you, Mike, would be, how do you think Capital 77 and Capital 78 have been received, not only here in Juneau, but in other parts of the state?
Well, I don't think there's any question. It's been one of the best things that's happened for instance, the capital community here in Juneau. There's just no doubt that that program, beaming out to all over the state, big villages, small villages, big towns, medium-sized towns, has just done a wonderful job. And you people have been the conduit for that wonderful job of showing, what's going on in the capital city here in Juneau. It's been a great thing, of course, for the local people. But the great and enduring contribution, I think, has been statewide. And I just have nothing but real congratulations for your efforts. And this, of course, this today is another great leap forward in that overall telecommunications concept.
Yeah, we're really anxious to be able, on our own air, to show the people of Juneau what we've been doing for the last 2 years with statewide televised coverage of the legislature. Jim, there have been times when we talk about Capital 77 and Capital 78 that there have been questions of its objectivity being raised because it was government funded. I'll put you on the hot seat and ask you if you feel that there have been any real attempts by legislators or other government officials to really influence what we've done.
Charlie, I'm quite pleased to say I don't believe there has been any real attempts. I know I've been quite pleased, and I think others have, with the objectivity that you've used and your staff have used in covering the legislature. I know from time to time there's probably been complaints voiced by various legislators and perhaps even by others, but that's just to be expected because it's a real task, and it's a monumental task to cover 60 different members of 40 in the House and 20 in the Senate, covering the activities, and of course some activities have to take priority over others, so it's a real difficult task. I think you've done a great job. I don't really think anyone up there has tried to influence, and I'd hope that in the future years, as you continue on with Capital 79 and Capital 80 and on down through the years, that no one will try to influence.
We're really looking forward to the fact that now, in addition to Capital 79, which will be the next edition of that program, we'll be doing something every weekday night trying to cover the city and borough of Juneau in the same way that we've covered the legislature. And it seems to me that will spell kind of a new dimension for you two gentlemen if you happen to continue to serve in the capacity that you've been serving in the sense that we'll be asking you questions and looking for opinions from you strictly from a Juneau point of view. And perhaps I could get, and I'll throw it open, whichever one of you would like to respond in terms of how you would feel about a program like that, a local news and public affairs program that will be late in the evening and will feature the kinds of public affairs that are of most interest to Juneauites.
Well, just very briefly, I think it'd be a great program. I think it's a great idea, and in fact, I can see that as one of the prime objectives of K2 is to bring a lot of the local activities and local news to the community that hasn't been brought before, and I would surely encourage it. I think it'd be exciting, and I really look forward to it.
Yeah, I certainly concur. That's the sort of void that I think public broadcasting is designed to fill and can fill very successfully and very, very well. And I'm just delighted to hear that you're thinking in those terms, because there's just no question you can you can fill an information void there that probably can't be covered in any other way, and that's terrific.
Well, my thanks to both of you for joining us this afternoon in this festive occasion for Capital Community Broadcasting. I'm hoping that the chairman of the board for Capital Community Broadcasting, Richard Dowling, is available somewhere close by so that he can come and help me cut a cake that is at my feet here. I don't know whether we can get a good shot of that cake or not.
Charlie, I've elected Elaine Mitchell, who had more to do with KTO over the years than any one of the rest of us. And I think it's more appropriate for Elaine to cut the cake.
I certainly appreciate those words, Richard. I thought you were going to say I had more to do with cutting cakes than anybody else. However, it says on the top of the cake, in case it can't be read, "Thank you, Juneau. Your town is on. You turn us on. KTOO FM and TV." It's a superb cake, it's a superb day, and Charlie, I am kneeling at your feet to cut the cake. How do you cut a cake this size? I guess
Just kind of go at it.
just go at it. All right, we'll go at it in that manner. Mr. Dowling, chairman of the board. Mr. Dowling, this is a very large piece. I expect you to share it. With the whole board of directors.
As the cake continues to be cut and as we continue to serve cake to others, we'd like to show you another short piece of videotape. And this one was taken some time ago. Over a year ago, we went out into the community and asked people what they would like to see on KTOO-TV. And here are some of the answers that they gave us to that rather nebulous question at that time.
What I like to see? I'd like to see more plays. Like when Our Town was on television a couple of weeks ago, that was really, really nice.
Okay, how about you? What would you like to see on a public TV station?
Classical music, ballet.
But really, a few things for kids I think would really be enjoyable for them. Educational things, maybe language classes or something like that, Marcia.
Good, recent foreign movies. That's something we don't have in Juneau.
Well, I'm not a television watcher, but I'd like to see some educational lecture or something like this. A little bit more profound statements instead of cop shows and whatever. I don't enjoy that.
How about you?
I'd like to see things more about teaching people more about the biochemics of their body.
Movies, live entertainment, concerts possibly.
I would like to see this similar things to what is on the public TV up in Fairbanks. They have a lot of the national PBS productions, and they have like Shakespearean plays and a lot of that sort of thing.
I would say more programs like the BBC's Masterpiece Theater and the music that they've had with Seiji Ozawa and the Boston Symphony, 60 Minutes, that sort of thing.
More stuff about Alaska, like that advocates thing that was on this winter. More issues discussed.
I think old movies and more educational programs, more issues and answers, especially about Alaska and Alaska state growth.
Is that going to cause a conflict for you if you don't watch a lot of TV to have a good television station in town?
I'd probably get a tube.
Theater stuff. I like documentaries.
Like political issues, shows that deal with political issues and, say, environmental issues, social issues, that kind of thing.
How about some local musicians, classical particularly?
Yeah, I think more local activities, local, sporting activities and local interest things, recreational type activities.
Maybe some more shows on government, like Cap Hill 77, is quite a good show, and I enjoyed that a lot. Maybe more things like that, and getting into the actual administration of government, not only the legislative part, but different divisions of the government.
I think just the spontaneity that the radio is, you seem to do a great job with that, just potpourri.
What I'd do is I'd go around town and I'd
I just try to get a few of just the weird little transactions that go on between people every day. Like, I'd like to film my reaction to having this microphone in my face right now.
Now, in just a moment, we're going to be talking to Sharon Gateman, who's the KTOO-TV program director, and we're going to have her tell us some of the things that really are going to be on KTOO-TV. But right now, we have a very important and surprise drop-in guest, State Senator and gubernatorial candidate Chancey Croft. Chancey, welcome. Glad you could drop by, even if it's just for a brief moment. I know you have to run to the plane.
It's quite an occasion. Nice to be here.
You're from the Anchorage area. You've had public television for a while. Perhaps you can say something to the folks out there about what they might be in store for.
Well, I think they're in store for a very exciting treat, and there was an effort a couple years ago to reduce the funding in the legislature for it, and there was almost an uprising in Anchorage. It had become so popular. It really is a tremendous addition to the community. Juneau, of course, beat Anchorage with public radio. Anchorage, because of some fortuitous circumstances, had public television first, and I highly recommend it. I think it's just been a tremendous addition to Anchorage, and it's something that has really improved the quality of programming up there.
Well, I appreciate those words from you, and thank you very much for stopping
Charlie,
by
congratulations
today.
again.
Thank you. Now I'd like to have Sharon, if she would, come join me.
On Chancey's mic?
Sure. Can you just kind of sit down here and we'll talk a little bit about programming.
Okay. Well, I think the first program we better talk about tonight, Charlie, is the programming that we're going to be airing. Due to circumstances beyond our control, none of the tapes we were expecting got here. So if everybody has their pencils ready, at 5:30 p.m. we're starting off with the James Michener special, Hawaii Revisited, followed by Otto the Zoo Gorilla, which is a documentary about the transfer of monkeys from the Chicago Zoo. Followed at 7:30 with Harry S. Truman Plain Speaking. Union Maids at 8:30, a documentary about the beginning of the CIO and the women's movement. And also an Ingmar Bergman film at 9:30, though it wasn't the one we expected, it's Port of Call.
You know, we ought to say why it is that we've had to do all these substitutions, and I don't mind saying it. PBS, the Public Broadcasting Service, is a long way from Juneau, at headquarters in Washington, D.C. They promised us that they would have every program we were going to need for the entire month of October here before the end of September. And they almost made it. I think we have in our closet stacks upon stacks of videotape.
A lot of Sesame Street.
But the programs they didn't get to us were the ones for the first day and a half. And so we have lots of programs that will be on schedule toward the middle of next week. But tonight is a complete substitution list because somehow PBS didn't get us the most important programs, the ones we've been telling you about for quite a while. But I think the substitute lineup's a good one.
Oh, it's a great one. And on a brighter note from PBS, we also have a telegram here from Larry Grossman, who's president of PBS, and I think we should read it. Congratulations on the activation of K2 Channel 3 in Juneau. I am certain that today marks the beginning of a long and lasting relationship between K2, PBS, and the wonderful viewers in the Juneau area. I and the entire PBS staff celebrate with you this inaugural broadcast. We all look forward to working with you in the years ahead. Larry Grossman, President, PBS.
I think you have another message there.
Do you want to do this one, Charles?
I'll take this one. This is one of the official State of Alaska proclamations, and it says, KTOO-TV staff and friends, best wishes on opening night and everyone thereafter. We all look forward to spending many entertaining, informative, and comfortable evenings with our newest friend, KTOO-TV. Putting a new TV station on the air has been a long-held dream of many. Now it has come to reality. With the support of the residents of the Juneau area, you will have a great future. Welcome to our homes. Jay Hammond, Governor of Alaska.
All right.
So we're delighted to have those messages as well. What can we look forward to besides just what's on tonight?
Oh, well, beginning the third week in October, we're bringing back the Adams Chronicles. And one thing that people can look forward to in Juneau now is college credit via television. We'll be doing the Adams Chronicles, The Long Search, which is a look at world religions, and also the Cinematic Eye on Saturday mornings and again on Monday nights. And all three of those are in conjunction with the junior college. And if you want more information on that, just contact Mike Meddy. So that's pretty exciting. A lot of films coming down the pike. On the plane, hopefully. Masterpiece Theater will be around. McNeil Lair as soon as we get on the satellite. Washington Week, Wall Street Week.
And when she says, as soon as we get on the satellite, we're looking to be completely satellite interconnected by the first part of December. Between now and then, we'll be on a tape delay. But we will be completely satellite interconnected, and we'll have a complete on-the-air schedule, live and direct from Washington, each and every day, starting in December. I'd like to close tonight's program with a montage of entries to the KTOO-TV and FM logo contest. You may have seen some publicity about that. We anticipate that we'll be making a decision very soon on that, but we thought you'd like to see all the entries, and so we've put them together.
Hi,
and
I'm Jeff Brown. Recently we had a contest to find a logo for use here on KTOO-FM TV. Just as you would imagine, the morning of last Friday, with 5 p.m. looming in as a deadline, we had one entry. But as the day went on, we found ourselves with 22 entries. Quite a job for our judges. What follows are the entries. You make your choice, and the judges will make theirs. From now on, only time will tell. Cynthia, music, please.
You're watching KTOO-TV, Channel 3, Juneau.
Hi, Jeff Brown here at the Valley Bowinkles, where families are flocking in for delicious Bowinkles pizza! You just can't beat a Bowinkles pizza, right, Jenny? Love those greens. Hey, look, dinner and a movie! The fresh, buttery popcorn is great, and it's free, too. Amazing! And there's plenty of video games for the kids, too.
Excuse me, but I think it's my turn now.
Bowinkles, it's what fun's all about.
Bartlett Regional Hospital, Northern Southeast Alaska's premier healthcare provider, is here for you 24 hours a day, every day of the year. Our dedicated staff is committed to providing a quality healthcare resource for our community and the region. We're your friends and neighbors. We're the staff of Bartlett Regional Hospital.
You want the value, you want the savings, on the selection that you're looking for. We got the service, we treat you better. Come on and see us and you'll save much more.
When it comes to your office supply needs, we'll treat you better at Office Plus with a better selection, better service, and better value. We proudly serve all of Southeast Alaska, and you can count on us to be here for you with a full line of office supplies and office furniture. That's Office Plus, 8757 Glacier Highway at the Nugget Mall in Juneau.
Life is fuller and richer with music, and the gift of music can last a lifetime. Rosewig Giles Music, the full-line music store for the musician in your life, can bring you the soothing sounds of classical with a fine selection of brass, woodwind, and string instruments. Or rock your world with the best names in guitars, amps, drums, and keyboards. Sheet music, instructional materials, and a full array of accessories will ensure that your life is filled with the sound of music. Rosewig Giles Music, Alaska Music Outfitter since 1976.
Gas & Go Petro Express with convenient drive-up service is the only gas station in Juneau offering the MPG Fill Up and Fly Away program. Present your Petro Express frequent filler card each time you purchase 8 gallons or more and get Alaska Airlines miles. And don't forget on Wednesdays to ask for a free 12-ounce drink with your purchase of 8 gallons or more. Only at Gas & Go Petro Express in Grants Plaza.
Esto no es solo acerca de la televisión, porque es también acerca de la comunidad.
Det er ikke bare fjernsynet, hvis det repræsenterer så dig som dit samfund.
Ce n'est pas seulement la télévision quand ça représente vous et votre communauté. Es ist nicht nur Fernsehen, wenn es dich und deine Gemeinde präsentiert.
Good evening and welcome to K2's first evening edition. In the news today, New Hampshire Senator John Durkin says he's got the votes to push through an amendment to the Senate version of H.R. 39 to increase federal wilderness in Alaska to 86 million acres. That's about 20 million acres more than was approved in the controversial bill passed by the House last spring. The D2 Steering Council reports late today that Senator Mike Gravel believes Durkin isn't bluffing when he says he has 21 co-sponsors of the amendment, and according to Gravel, that's just another reason why the bill shouldn't hit the Senate floor this year. A letter to the 3 firms vying for the contract to continue the state's satellite TV project went out from the Governor's Office of Telecommunications here in Juneau today. The letters asked that RCA Alascom, the Don Wold Company, and ASRC Communications clarify what the state says are unsatisfactory bids, and that a request for secrecy by RCA and the Wold Company be lifted. KTOO volunteer reporter Joe Sonneman talked with OT Deputy Director Dick Dowling today and filed this report.
RCA now brings satellite TV to Alaska, but the company's contract has expired, so it now has temporary operating authority only. RCA, Wold, and ASRC Communications are each bidding for a new contract, but 2 of the companies have requested confidential bidding procedures.
Dick Dowling is here, the Deputy Director of the Governor's Office of Telecommunications. Could you tell us about the confidential procedures request?
Well, both Robert Wool Company and RCA asked that their proposals be held as proprietary and confidential. And we're honoring that for now. We're asking both of them to rescind that requirement so that we can bring the users in who will be affected by the ultimate decision on this contract. And
what is the difference between the original proposal set forth by the legislature with $13 million and the current proposal with only $2.7?
House Bill 908, as originally proposed and ultimately passed out, would deliver television to all locations in the state of 25 people or more. That comes to about 176 locations. The current level of funding is $2.7 million, and that will provide the same level of service that we're delivering now to 5 urban locations for interstate live news and sports type programming, and 23 bush villages to receive intrastate entertainment and as well as educational and instructional material. And we'll add 11 new locations that are the regional center type, Barrow, Kotzebue, Nome, Dillingham, Cordova, and southeast Haines, Ketchikan, Wrangell, and Petersburg.
Would you like to comment on the AP report? The question of confidentiality was reported in the press, and I think you had some different impressions from what they reported.
We feel that we need more detail, and we're asking for that at this point.
But you have not really rejected the bids?
By no means have we rejected anyone's bid.
Okay, you're just asking for open and public procedures, is that right?
We're asking for that as well as for more detail.
Okay, Dick Dowling, thank you very much.
Here in the rain and wind outside the State Office building, this is Joe Sonneman for KTOO-TV.
Superior Court Judge Ralph Moody decided today not to count those 260 ballots found in a drawer in the Anchorage Elections Office 2 weeks ago. Moody's decision came today as hearings opened in Anchorage on whether or not to throw out the entire primary election. Moody says he will make a final decision on those controversial ballots only after he makes his decision on the entire primary. The hearings opened today with Attorney General Avram Gross admitting that some technical elections violations did occur, but he said they did not affect the election outcome. Gross maintained that attorneys for Wally Hickel and Ed Mertes have given up their charges of fraudulent election conduct and says the issues are now legal ones. In a surprise move today, gubernatorial candidate Chancey Croft says he's changed his mind on the Frank Initiative and will vote for it in November. He said he talked with initiative backers and is now convinced that technical difficulties can be solved by the legislature. If an amendment clarifying the definition of bondable costs to mean the costs of actually physically moving the capital can be added, as Croft says he's been assured can, then he no longer sees any problems with the initiative. The Frank Initiative will appear on the November ballot and if passed would require that Alaskans know and approve all bondable costs before the capital move can begin. The 19th Annual Convention of the Alaska State Chamber of Commerce came to a close in Sitka over the weekend with about 250 delegates attending. John Kelsey of Valdez was named Outstanding Alaskan of the Year for his work in rebuilding the Valdez Dock Company destroyed by fire in the 1964 earthquake. The president of the State Chamber, Don Dickey, reported this morning that the group also finalized plans for a business education program they will be offering to Alaskan students this spring. Dickey also commented that the convention was a forum for everything from the D2 issue to a discussion about California's Proposition 13. Gubernatorial candidates Tom Kelly and Jay Hammond addressed the delegates, and Lieutenant Governor candidate Katie Hurley filled in for running mate Chancey Croft. I asked Don Dickey if the convention was a gauge for the health of Alaskan businesses.
I think one of the biggest things when we opened the State Chamber in 1960 still continues. I think we've made some inroads, but that's the distance in the, call it sectionalism, regionalism, and I think the biggest function we perform, and it's never completely resolved, is try to bring them together and find out that the problems that affect the fellow in the interior are pretty much like the ones in southeastern. And while we have differences and variations in shades and degrees, that the pretty much what affects one affects all. And to the D2s, for instance, are always on their mind because until the settlement of the land issue, many of the, be it mining, timber, petroleum, even fishing, are pretty much a question mark. So I guess the greatest thing that happens is an opportunity to come together, share common problems, and also to, I think, to hear what we felt were some of the top speakers in their particular field. So.
But because of that regionalism, does that mean that the business climate is poor?
No, I don't think so. I think a rivalry, which has always existed, be it a Ketchikan to Juneau or whatever, is a healthy thing. And we rotate our conventions around so that our own board, who's from all over the state, this is, for instance, the first time to Sitka. And there's been many changes with the 2 new hotels, the convention center. But now when a discussion comes up about an issue that affects Sitka, our people aren't sitting in Anchorage or down in Delta trying to decide and never having seen the community. Most of them have been there.
President of the State Chamber of Commerce, Juneauite Don Dickey. Today was the opening of the Alaska Positive exhibit at the Alaska State Museum here in Juneau. Volunteer reporter John Wilson was there and has this report.
Every year, the Alaska State Council of the Arts, in cooperation with the Alaska State Museum, ask photographers to collect the very best of their Alaskan photographs and submit them to be judged as part of the Alaska Positive exhibit. Judging was completed before the formal opening of the exhibit today, when the State Museum opened its doors at 9 o'clock. Engelbert Gerdes of San Francisco was this year's juror, and she chose Seascape, a photograph of Jay Larson's, as the best of the color photographs. Northern Geometry number 2, photographed by Brian Allen, was selected as the best of black and white. For the next 30 days, these prize winners, along with 35 other entries, will be on display during the regular museum hours. The winners are nestled among a series of photographs, black and white and color, which are impressive enough to confuse one as to why certain photographs were picked over others. With the notable exception of the selection picked as Best of the Show, Perry Atkinson's Spirit Rising. For KTOO News, this is John Wilson reporting from the Alaska State Museum.
Thanks, John. Each evening, right after the news, we'll be bringing you a sports report, put together and announced by volunteer sportscasters, each with their own style and way of looking at local, state, and national sports. We will also be incorporating into the week, on a regular basis, a hunting and fishing report. That all begins to a limited extent this week and full swing next week. So there's still opportunity to volunteer for sports reporting. Let us know if you're interested. Tonight, volunteer Morgan Basil reports on the punt, pass, and kick competition held over the weekend.
Hello, Morgan Basil here for KTOO-TV in Juneau. We are here at Sandy Beach with about 43 youngsters who are participating in the Ford Dealers of America 18th Annual Punt, Pass, and Kick Competition. This is Juneau's second year of involvement. Punt, Pass, and Kick began in 1961. Since then, thousands of boys and girls all over the United States have moved through the different levels of competition. Parks and Recreation Department has held 2 learning clinics to help kids get ready for today's competition. This competition is for kids 8 through 13 years of age. The 6 different age groups will punt, pass, and kick the football for distance as well as accuracy. Officials will measure how far the ball travels on the fly, not where it rolls. They will also measure how far the ball lands from the center line. The score will be the total distance minus the distance off target. Winners are determined by the total score of all 3 categories of competition. Trophies will be awarded for first, second, and third place in each age group.
Now the awards are going to be presented at the bleachers behind the backstop over there, okay? You'll meet down there. Thank you.
And the winner's score of this local competition will be sent to Seattle, where they will be checked against other scores from all over Alaska.
First place award in the 8-year-old class, Mike Smatlin. Smatlin. Well, help me out, Kang, because I can't pronounce it. Where's Smatlin? Right there. Yeah. All right, Mike. Second place, Kurt Goldbach. Right. Third place, Derek Duncan. Do we have a Duncan? There you are.
And district winners will be announced and will compete again, with some youngsters eventually going to the Super Bowl on January 7th to compete on a national level. Hopefully, we will have a Juneau youngster there. This has been Morgan Basil for KTOO-TV in Juneau with a punt, pass, and kick competition.
Thanks, Morgan. And now for the weather, here's Steve Nelson.
Thanks, Betsy. You've probably noticed it's raining, and there's a very good reason for that, which I'll explain in a moment. First of all, let's take a look at temperatures and conditions around the state. Nothing much to report in the way of clear weather. It was basically overcast all over the entire state. temperatures ran like this. At the top of the world, Barrow was 14 degrees at last report, which was about 5:30. Kotzebue reached a high of 30 degrees. In Fairbanks, it was 44. Anchorage had a temperature of 47. And moving down to the Panhandle, Yakutat was 44 degrees. Haines-Skagway area was basically the same, 43. Hoona was 40 degrees. In Sitka, the temperature was 47. And in Ketchikan, it was also 47. Wrangell had a temperature of 44 degrees, and we had no report from Petersburg then. And Juneau, at last report, and you can look outside and check this, but it's 40 degrees and raining if you don't believe me. Now, we'll take a quick look at our surface map, which will explain a little further why this is going on. Basically, what we've got is a low-pressure area that is sitting right out here, and in a case of a low-pressure area, the air around it moves in a counterclockwise direction. What this is doing is bringing cold air from the sea here down into the Gulf Coast, which is mixing with the warmer air, or actually the warmer temperature of the water. Now, when this happens, the warmer air rises, since warm always rises and cold drops. So the warm air is rising up into the atmosphere, and it reaches what you call a dew point, and then turns into rain and falls. So all week we've been having front after front move in like this, since this low pressure has been sitting basically here. So this front here will be bringing us, and has been bringing us, our lousy weather all day, and we'll move through here, and we'll be here in the interior of the Yukon by tomorrow about, or actually by this evening, by about 8 o'clock, and then, so it'll already have moved past by the time you hear this. That means, in plain talk, that what's going to happen is the hard rain we've been having will subside and turn into showers. So I looked at the 5-day forecast over at the National Weather Service, and they say this pattern is going to continue pretty much. The low will drift a little bit down this way, which won't change things too much. We'll have a northerly flow, which means the cold air from up north will be still coming down and across like this. That means that we will be having cool, showery weather, pretty much. And the snow line will be dropping up in the mountains, if you notice. So let's take a look at the forecast right now for the Juneau and vicinity. And you can see it's windy with some rain showers tonight and Tuesday, with southeast winds about 25 miles per hour, gusting up to 35, and as I said, they will be diminishing as that front moves through the Panhandle. The low tonight will be 40 degrees or so, and high tomorrow will be in the mid-40s. The low tomorrow night in the upper 40s, and the outlook for Wednesday calls for showers. That's a look at the weather for this evening. Betsy, back to you.
Thanks, Steve. That's it for this first portion of the evening edition. Stay tuned next for FYI, a time each night when we'll take a closer look at an issue or event affecting Juneau and Alaska, as well as bringing you news features from other public television stations in the United States, Canada, and around the world. Tonight, Elaine Mitchell fills us in on upcoming Southeast land auctions.
Alaskans want land. That's the message of the Homestead Initiative, which has forced state government to offer the public more land. Here, Andy Pekovich of the Southeast District of the Division of Forest, Land, and Water Management talks about upcoming land sales.
Lands, of course, is getting to be a more sophisticated project, but right now of immediate importance are 4 land sales, which are coming up in Southeast in October. 3 of them on October 17th, one to be held in Ketchikan, one in Myers-Chuck, and the other one in Point Baker. And those sales will be held in those particular areas. Ketchikan sale will entail 5 lots out of the Hyder area, which is in the same recording district. We also have on October 20th of this year a sale of 7 units in Elfin Cove.
Now, you used 2 different terms there, and please explain for me. In Ketchikan, you said lots. In Elfin Cove, you said units.
I refer to Elfin Cove because I was sure of the units. In Elfin Cove, there is 1 lot with 3, or 1 unit with 3 lots.
I see.
Now, the unit is actually the designation that the Division of Lands gives a particular parcel or lot in the auction brochure.
So there's no, for someone who is seeking information, there is a difference between the term lots and the term unit?
There certainly is.
Okay. Now, all this fairly complicated information is available at your office, is that right?
Yes, it's available either by calling 465-2415 in Juneau, and we'll be glad to mail out the brochure, or by writing Pouch M, Juneau, zip code 99811, Division of Forest, Land, and Water Management.
There's another question that I have. We have, many of us, seen the ad in the paper for computerized fill-out for Alaska state land programs, and filled it out. You know, wow, send it in right away to Box 1000 in Anchorage. And then I did, sat back and waited for the mail to pour in with all the information about the land sales. This apparently, this computerized mail-out program does not include information, I gather, on these October 78 sales in Southeast.
That is true. This information was, rather than an application for people to fill out, was more a survey. It was established, and a consultant in the Anchorage office is doing for us. It was established in order to let a person know, basically on the outcome of the questions that he answers, whether he would be eligible for various programs.
I see.
Now, and in turn, by the number of people that filled this out, and I forget what the exact number was, but it was a great deal, it would give the Division of Land some idea of how many people are eligible in the state for certain programs.
Under the existing program, sale program.
Right.
Okay. Someone told me the other day that they were receiving somewhere from around 700 of these fill-out things per day in Anchorage. So this is, although concerned with Alaska lands, the important thing for the southeastern people are these three sales coming up.
I might add more on this and of course the longevity discount system, the different types of state programs which are open to entry, home site, public auctions, and that we have been requested by the community college to furnish personnel from the Anchorage office, and hopefully that is tentatively scheduled for the evening of the 10th at the community college building here in Juneau. And we hope to have personnel down to talk to anybody that would like to come to that meeting on the different land programs and hopefully clarify some of them.
So that would be under discussion on that would be these 6 items, I suppose, on this ad: the auction, the home site, open to entry, lottery, the discount, and the veterans preference.
That's right.
Do all of those 6 items apply? You already went into detail on the veterans preference on the Southeast sales. And this is an auction.
This is a public auction.
We've got a couple, and discount. Does discount
The discount
count?
applies.
Okay.
Providing the individual is eligible.
Okay, so we've got the individual who has become interested through the various ads in the paper and one thing and another. We come to your office and we get all the information. Then we must be there at the auction in which we are interested in person on the day of the auction.
You have to be at the auction or an agent, and the agent, if he is an agent, should have at least a letter which hopefully would be witnessed, which would lay out what he is essentially authorized to do in behalf. Now, one thing on the longevity discount is the agent should have with him, if he's acting for an agent, enough data on the person's personal history.
The person for whom he is acting.
That should they choose to apply for the longevity discount, that is done at the auction. And it can be done after that, but hopefully it will be done at the auction. The person has 20 days then to furnish evidence of his residency. And so they should be prepared to do that.
Now, the other thing that the person participating, wanting to buy one of those rare lots or units, is bring money, right?
Right. You have to bring at least 10%.
And do you take personal checks?
We take personal checks, cashier's checks, etc. However, if the personal check bounces, so does the person's contract.
And if things, there is some arrangement, I think I read in one of these brochures, if, for example, the personal check bounces, the contract bounces, then the state still owns that particular unit, and then there's an over-the-counter sale
Well, I believe
for
that,
leftovers?
that we retain the right to award it to the second high bidder.
I see. Okay. Is there anything else that I should know when I come to the, to the auction?
Well, I think basically that about covers it as well as we can in the time.
But the meeting on October 10th would answer any more questions that might come to my mind or anyone else's mind after
Should be
after
more
this
detailed.
conversation. For your information, Elaine Mitchell from the Division of Forest and Land and Water Management, Southeast District, Masonic Temple, Juneau.
Thanks, Elaine. Next up is what we are calling Commonwealth, the way we close the evening edition and the way we provide another chance for you to become directly involved in the show. Each Commonwealth will be different, but regularly scheduled. Monday nights will bring you Soapbox, and at the Soapbox tonight is Juneau resident John Corso.
Hello, welcome to Soapbox. This show is new, but it has a distinguished tradition behind it. People with firm opinions and loud voices have been climbing on soapboxes for a long time. They're usually ordinary people, or they wouldn't be using a soapbox. They could convene Parliament or take over a newspaper. Since soapboxers can't do that, they are sometimes ignored. Sometimes, though, they start riots. They've been known to start revolutions. You probably have the makings of a good soapbox speaker. If you've ever been upset by a common problem or had the solution to it, if you've ever disagreed with a public official or felt him or her to be a bozo, then you have the makings of a revolutionary. It's a romantic prospect, at least, and if you won the revolution, you could sentence the phone company to death. If you want to whip up a really satisfying revolution, though, or even start a good public argument, you have to have a good soapbox. It has to be accessible so you and your audience can get to it, and it has to be properly set up so it's easy to use. For some time now, KTOO Radio has been providing the people of Juneau with an accessible and professional platform from which to speak. Now you're getting another one, this show. Every night on Evening Edition, 5 minutes will be set aside for guest speakers from the community. The format will be slightly different each night of the week, and one night is for opinion, anybody's opinion. That's Soapbox. If you have a beef or a brilliant insight, or if you're just mad as hell and not going to take it anymore, do it here. It's not all that difficult. The people here are supportive and professional. They'll help you out. You don't have to have any experience. You don't even have to dress up unless you want to. All you really have to be is honest and coherent. Anybody can be honest, and if Paul Harvey can be coherent, so can you. The mechanics are simple. Just call Cynthia Halterman at 586-1670 and tell her you'd like to be on Soapbox. She'll take care of all the arrangements. All you have to do is show up at the studio, stand behind this podium, and speak your piece. This segment is on videotape, so if you make a mistake, you can start over again. Also, you can go home and watch yourself on TV. There are worse things. Now, you might think that you have nothing to say, but that's not very likely. You probably have an opinion on outsiders meddling in Alaskan affairs, or maybe you're tired of insiders running the state. Should Alaska conserve its resources or develop them? Should the capital stay where it is or stay where it is? The world is full of incredible things to comment on. I'm sure that somebody in Juneau has an opinion on politics, or fish, or fisheries politics, or somebody who needs to have you hoot at them. We all need to hear you hoot. We need to because you're probably interesting and because it's good for us. Soapbox speaking, whether it's in the park or on television, needs to be kept alive, but it's suffering a worldwide decline. Many governments have found it to be inconvenient. We're lucky. Free speech is healthy here. It brought us Malcolm X and Anita Bryant. It brought Lady Chatterley's lover to New York, it brought the Nazis to Skokie, and it brought Alexander Solzhenitsyn to Vermont. It can do all that, but it can't do a thing for you unless you exercise it. Your opportunity to do so is unique. Right now, Juneau is the fulcrum of many forces, and K2 wants you to talk about them. History is calling. You'll have a tough audience. The people of Juneau have a higher median educational level than San Francisco or Los Angeles, but you ought to accept the challenge. That way, when your children ask you, "And what did you do when they were deciding about Alaska?" you won't have to say, "Well, I was shoveling snow out in the valley." This is a good time to get into the act. K2-TV has been on for a week. The news is just starting. Summer is over, the fish ain't jumping, and the cotton is low. Tour ships are gone, and Juneau is for Juneauites. So is soapbox. If you have something to say, don't stay at home, come on down to the station. Don't hoot at your television set, hoot from it. Better for you, better for all of us.
Thanks, John. And thank you for joining us for K2's first evening edition. We'll be back tomorrow and every weeknight. For the Monday edition, good night.
It's been a long time loving each other. This is how I dreamed it would be. The love you feel for me. Now I know it can be so real for me. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. Seems like yesterday. Through the years we drifted apart. Oh baby, we knew down in our hearts. I know it can be so real for me. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I'm so excited, I couldn't sleep or wink last night. Has she decided? When is she ever gonna Your smile so sweet and nice. The look of your pretty eyes as they meet mine when we're together, holding you tonight. I'm so excited, so excited, I'm so excited. I couldn't sleep a wink last night. Has she decided? When is she ever gonna make up her mind? So yeah, so excited. Auckland, there's no use in counting sheep or to warm some milk and honey. So I'll just try to get some sleep and dream of you, baby. So excited. I'm so excited. Yeah, the truth. Tossing and turning all through the night, thinking about my baby as I squeeze my pillow tight. So excited, so excited, yeah. Excited, so excited, 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 so excited, 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 so excited, 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 so excited. Yande Kakwashi.
First unto this country, a stranger I came. The pick and shovel on my back, no money to my name, no money to my name. We landed in old Juneau town, Seattle far behind, and boated across the channel where we worked the Treadwell mine. Yeah, we worked the Treadwell mine. It was hard working in the open pit, 1800 down. One day it'd make $2, and then the next you're glory bound. Yeah, the next you're glory bound. Well, we dodged the rocks from the sudden slides and swam out from the flood. We dug for gold in the rain and the cold and the water and the mud. Yeah, the water and the mud. And there's color in the eagle's eye, the sun at break of day. But there ain't no color I can find that'll keep me on that pay, that'll keep me on that pay. So it's straight away through the wilderness, Fairbanks and the line, down the frozen Yukon in the year of 99, in the year of 99. And there's 20,000 of us here down on the beach at Nome, but there ain't but 1 in 50 that can pay his way back home, that can pay his way back home. God bless the snow-blind traveler and help him find his way. God bless the drunken fiddler when he finds the time to play. Hear the words of the dying man left frozen in the cold. And pity the weary miner that's never found his gold, that's never found his gold. Well, I wish I was in Portland or some other seaport. Sail around this old big world and then lay that cradle down, boys, lay that cradle down.
proposals, presentations, deadlines, you need solutions that work. The Sharp Imager series from Tongass Business Center. Digital copiers, printers, superior color copiers, and facsimiles, plus innovative software solutions right from your PC. Tongass Business Center, seasoned professionals integrating superior technology and reliable support to help you create, process, and share information faster and easier. Sharp and Tongass Business Center, connecting to tomorrow.
Thaynor House. Delicious food at an unbelievable price. That's the Thaynor House. If you get a mite frazzled by all the crowds downtown, then come enjoy our historic atmosphere. Try all-you-can-eat dinner, guaranteed to satisfy the heartiest of appetites. There's also a lunch specials every day and discounts for children 12 and under. So beat the downtown crowds today. Head for the Thaynor House for lunch, dinner, or just for fun. The Thaynor House, where you're always welcome.
Snow in Barrow.
Snow and Barrow.
Snow in Barrow. Lightning in Fairbanks.
Lightning in Fairbanks.
Lightning in Fairbanks.
Storm system south of the Aleutians starting to work its way up.
Ever wonder where they get their forecast? Channel 2 weather, a forecast you can trust.
It's raining cats and dogs down there.
Kyse ei ole pelkästään televisiosta, kun se edustaa sinua ja sinun kaupunkiasi.
TV aja Иhuанцо кадеи гахтерстинч як еитиич.
Это не только телевидение, когда оно освещает вас и вашу окружающую среду.
It's rain country time again. Thanks for joining us on our weekly journey through the part of the world we call home. I'm Scott Foster, and this week we take a homey look, beginning with someone who provides assistance to people who don't always have a home that was housed to 7 chiefs, and ways to brighten up your home. So let's begin. There are an estimated 3 million homeless people in the United States. For those who want to offer assistance, that's a pretty big problem to try to get a handle on. A more practical way is to try to help those in one community, like Juneau, where there are 200 to 300 homeless. Bill Numa likens that to a slogan from the activist days in the 1960s, think globally, act locally. Bill Numa is the director of the Glory Hole in Juneau.
You know, people come here because they can't make it on their own. They're overcome by cold, they're overcome by hunger, and they have to come in. Hopefully it's a home to people in that these are people that have no home. It's not a place that they'll stay permanently. We serve meals twice a day. We provide temporary shelter. We do advocacy and hospitality. This is the last stop down, and you can't get any further down than the Glory Hole. And when you get here, hopefully it's nice, and that you're not criticized for being down. But people come from everywhere. We have professionals, people who were professionals, people who were laborers, people who were fishermen. But there are our neighbors.
Bill Numa grew up in Washington, D.C., a place he calls a very poor city, despite the glitter associated with high politics. His parents were career bureaucrats. When it came time for college, Numa chose a school for a reason most high school graduates wouldn't.
I went to college in Ohio because I wanted to get out of that very liberal climate. I was steeped in it, and I appreciated it, and I felt very comfortable in it. But I would read public opinion polls, and you would see 68% of the country feeling some way, and I'd never met any people who had felt that way. And I wanted to meet people like that, the real Americans.
Numa studied history in college, and in light of his current job running the Glory Hole, recently wrote a letter to his alumni association telling them he was just another history major on Skid Road. His brief experience in graduate school illustrated his beliefs and attitudes that continue today.
I had a short sojourn in graduate school in public administration, urban planning, And I really got turned off on it because we were learning how to use formulas to classify people and decide their fate, really, whether they would fit into public housing or whether they are eligible for certain types of assistance. And you made these determinations on mathematical formulas, and it seemed very inhumane to me. And I rebelled against that. And so I dropped out of graduate school in the first semester and joined the Mennonite Voluntary Service and did voluntary work in the Portland, Oregon Skid Road. And I was doing the same type of work that I was being trained to do in graduate school, but I wasn't fitting anyone into a formula. I was dealing with people as human beings.
From the soup kitchen in Portland to fishing in Homer with his new wife. Then, an ad in an Anchorage paper caught his attention. He applied for and was hired as director of the Glory Hole in Juneau.
I'd say maybe 25% of the people we see over and over again. A fraction of that 25% are the real chronic, hardcore street people, the type of people that we tend to stereotype as being people on Skid Road. But they really make up a very small fraction of the people that we see. We see mostly people who want to work, people who are used to working, people who are very frustrated, very discouraged, and needing some hope, some encouragement. They're success stories, and they're failures. You don't want to take too much pride in your success stories because then you lose your energy. And I don't really like to share them too much, just because it's easy to rest on them and think, oh gosh, we're doing such a great job, when really we don't do very, very much. The people do it themselves. And so I shy away from retelling those things. I wouldn't really claim to take care of needs. I think our mission is really clear, that we feed 2 meals a day. And anything else that we can do beyond that is wonderful. But if that always remains our central focus, and recognizing that as the basic human need, and that if we provide good and nutritious meal and that people are in good health, that they'll be able to take care of their own needs with the support and the encouragement and some of the professional contacts that we have. We've never turned anyone away. We've probably broken some rules in having, too many people in the building at any one time. But I'd rather personally get punished for breaking a rule than turning somebody out in the cold or letting someone go hungry. From what I've heard, nearly every community in Southeast could use, what would you say, something like the Glory Hole. If not a food pantry, then just a place where people could be dry during the day. A drop-in center, or some of the larger communities could probably use a soup kitchen. Since the first day that it's opened, we've gotten all of our financial support from church groups and individual supporters. It's unique as an organization because we don't receive any government money. It's people who are friends of the Glory Hole, who have driven by the place every day and know that we're feeding hungry people, and by gosh, every month we get a check for $10, or and it kind of dribbles in. It gives the bookkeeper headaches to no end, but every month the money comes in, and so we just know that we do have a base of support.
The Glory Hole is not a fancy establishment, but what would happen if it had twice as much money and twice as much space?
As long as we had heart in our work, I think we'd be busy. There's always that danger that you get too efficient in doing your services, and you can write up fact sheets of all the things that you've accomplished, but you haven't put any heart in your work, and you haven't really given that little bit of real human tenderness to a person that can change a person. Because me walking someone over very methodically over to public assistance and helping them fill out a form doesn't change their lives in any way different than what they could do themselves. but giving someone some encouragement and some real reason for hope might stimulate something inside them which will really just turn their lives around.
The homes of many earlier Southeasterners were located near the mouths of rivers and deltas. A case in point is where the Stikine comes through the mountains and meets the sea near the present city of Wrangell. Through changing Russian, British, and American presence, the one constant home builder in the area were Tlinkits. The house of one of their leaders has been restored. It took place during the 1930s, the late 1930s, under a CCC program. More recently, nearby totem poles have been restored and replicated. The combination of the two is a modern-day reminder of the historic Tlingit presence before the southeast hearth.
The original house on this site was probably built close to the early 1800s, possibly just prior to that. No one's really sure. And it was built here mainly to keep an eye on the Russians. The Russian fort was located just across the way. This house in particular was built about 1939 during the CCC totem project that was done here. So it's built on the original site in the original pit that the first house was built. On the island there's 9 totem poles. Of those, 2 are original totem poles that were done during the CCC project. The remainder are replicas of totem poles that either stood on this island or stood elsewhere in town. The totem project has been a long-time goal of many people here in the community. We received a total of $260,000 in state and federal monies to do the restoration project. It incorporates the Shakes Island and the totem poles on the tribal house, as well as 4 totems that were standing within the community of Wrangell that were taken down in 1981. And the first phase of the project was the restoration of this house and the duplication of the 4 house posts, and recarving 2 figures on the 2 totems just outside the house, as well as some restoration work on 5 of the totems. And now we're in phase 2, which is duplicating the 4 totems that were taken down in 1981, and the first of those is the Kikseti totem. When we first started the project, we were looking for carvers who were not only highly skilled in carving, but also skilled within replication work. There's a big difference between doing replication work and original totem. With original totem, the carver's allowed to use his style of carving. With replication, you want as close to the original, right down to the same number of adze marks.
The gentleman who carved this one, what was his approach on roughing it out? If we transform this back into a log, what would he do first? which cuts will you make first. So it's a lot of measuring, and that's pretty time consuming.
We're even getting down to trying to duplicate some of the direction of the adze marks and things as far as the wood will allow, so that we reproduce some of the same feel of that, because those textures and things are just as much a part of individual style as the shapes themselves. It's really pretty interesting, and it forces you to look much more closely than you ever would otherwise. You actually get so far into there that you start to have dreams about it and things like that.
It was kind of nice, too, to be able to go over and duplicate something that the originals are somewhere around 200 to 250 years old, and duplicate work that was been done that long time ago compared to what I'd been doing prior to the house post, which was all of my own designs, etc., etc. And then to do something that was old like that is really quite an honor. And a lot of the secrets that only wood carvers know, Steve and I have learned off the house posts.
We not only learned a lot about it, but we stand to pass on some of that knowledge and greater understanding of some of the history of the carving before much European contact had taken place. Things that had been collected and from the time the house posts were made, which was before 1800.
Inside the house, we have the 4 house posts that have finally been replaced, the replicas. The house posts are just incredible. Every time I see them, I'm simply amazed. I've forgotten how magnificent they are. And even the originals that they copied from are just really magnificent. The hair on the poles come from hair from Wayne Price, the other carver on the project. When he signed the contract to come to work, he decided not to cut his hair until it was done. So last August, when the house posts were installed in here, he did trim some of his hair off enough to be put on the 2 house posts. The figure on the bottom of the pole is a bit different than you've seen in most poles. The face above it was not even there on the original. Wayne and Steve had to do a lot of consulting and acquiring photographs of other totems that they felt this particular carver had done, and kind of put a composite together, and that's what they came up with. The original was hacked away during a potlatch at one time. So Chief Shakes was trying to impress a guest into showing that these poles were not that important to him, and that was one way of doing it, is just simply, destroying it. The screen at the back of the house is a replica of a Chilkat blanket that was done by a lady who was a guest at a potlatch given by Chief Shakes, and she enjoyed herself so much that as a thank you, she wove a Chilkat blanket, and it's still in existence. And so when they built the house in the late 30s, they had decided to put the bear screen on the outside of the house, or the design anyway, and needed the screen in the back. So that's what they did. They created this type of screen. The 2 house posts that come from the Kikseti tribal house, the Sun House, are also located in here. In the original house, that would not have been done, but because this house is also considered a museum, you'll find those house posts. So it's a museum, it's a tribal house, it's a way of showing how the Tlingit people lived.
you.